HaTorah, HaTorah, Torah. HaTorah, HaTorah, Torah. HaTorah, HaTorah, Torah. HaTorah, HaTorah, Torah. Yeshua's the way, the truth, and the life.
All right. Okay. Well, I will find out what's going on here in a minute, but this Torah portion, every Torah portion is great. Every Torah portion is amazing. You can find such awesome things about it. I know awesome is maybe an overused word, but I want to point out how Jacob prepared for war in the midst of the times that he was in. You know, some may think, well, the language is just, he was just going to go meet his brother Esau and hope. He was scared and he was just hoping, running, putting everybody away because he was fearful and hoping things wouldn't happen. No. In fact, you never know about the preparation for war unless you truly read the Hebrew. Yeah, the Hebrew comes back into play for that too. Well, you say, how? Well, because in the language of Hebrew, you're going to discover what those words, harnessed and so many other things, are actually meaning. So war isn't always the option you want. And war is not what we want in this day, in this hour that we're in right now. But that's where we are. Just as we spoke earlier, we are at war. And do not kid yourself. Do not kid yourself into believing that that's not a true statement, because it is. And anyway, so what do we see in this Torah portion that leads us to those thoughts? Well, I'm just going to start with a few things. We look at even the wording. Let's go back up, because sent, here we have the word sent in the Torah portion. We find that Esau doesn't return when Jacob goes and has this wrestling match he doesn't return as the same individual as he once was. We know that that's a shadow picture of the transformation that has to happen within us. We know that. We've been taught that. But unless you delve into that language, there's so much more concerning that. In Genesis 32:3, the word shalach is right there, to send away, to let go, to stretch out, to let loose. But it also has connotations of divorce or being dismissed or cast out, or even as well as branches shooting forth, or get this, in a stronger sense, to cast or throw things as arrows. Possibly, if you look at it closely, it could be that Jacob is sending a message to Esau that Esau is about to be let loose or driven out, so that Jacob's branches can begin to go forth. It's almost like he's making a declaration of war himself. And we know he positioned his family. He positioned everything that went before him in a warlike structure. Don't be deceived that that was a mistake. He did that on purpose because he knew there's a war going on, whether it was right in his face or whether it was a spiritual battle. It's a war. But in Genesis 32:13-15, we see that 5 different types of herds are sent to Esau from Jacob. And it's the goats, the sheep, the camels, the cattle, the donkeys, et cetera, et cetera. But in that same way, it sort of is how everybody came out of Egypt. Exodus 13:18 says, "But Yahweh led the people out through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went and harnessed out of the land of Egypt." Harnessed. Well, my version doesn't read that. Well, let's go to the Hebrew and see what it actually says. Strong's number 2571, Hamush. It means in battle array, arrayed for battle by 5s, armed. Jacob sets this pattern, harness, just as in Egypt, right there in this Torah portion, as he sends out this company by 5s in battle array, armed for this encounter. That's pretty strong language. Yeah, did he want peace? Yes, peace. But he also knows there's a war battling. Do we want peace? Yes, but be not deceived. We are at war, so we need to be dressed in armor. We need to be dressed in the armor of Yahweh, that priestly armor of Yahweh, because we are in a battle and conflict has ensued. If you don't understand, the battle in the heavenlies is great, just like it is here. And there's so many ways to fight it. Yeah. So Jacob makes preparations for this conflict, this preparation for war. He divides his wives and his kids and his cattle and his wealth into two camps. He hopes for the best, but prepares for the worst. And why? Because Jacob intends to fight for what is his. Folks, do you intend to fight for what's yours? A shepherd fights for his flock. He does. And so is Jacob. This is what Jacob is doing as he hits these battlegrounds, as he is coming in to meet the enemy and understand that the enemy Esau is still there. That's what we're battling. We are still battling Esau. So for us to be unarmed and unprepared is ignorance on our part, because Esau is still ready to kill us. Whether it's a kiss to bite our ear off, so to speak, or whatever it is, the enemy wants to annihilate us. We are battling Esau even today. Are we dressed for battle? Are we armed for war? What is it? Are we prepared to be overrun? Are we prepared to fight? Remember, in history, we're coming up on Hanukkah season. We look at Hanukkah. We look at the Maccabees, that small force against this big battle, this big army. And they won through their own merit? No. We look at Jonathan and his servant, 2 men going against the 6,000 chariots and all of these men, 2 men. Is there any way the odds, whether it was 3,000, how it was initially under Saul, or when it diminished to 600, or 2, when there's not enough men, does it matter how much is not enough? Because it's not us who wins the battle. And then you look at Gideon and his forces. Yahweh has to whittle down the forces sometimes so that he gets the credit. Dare we take his glory? No. And we've got to remember, no matter how big and evil the enemy looks before us, no matter how threatening Esau seems, he's nothing compared to our Yah. Because it's not us who fights the battle. We prepare for war. We act and do what he says. We make ourselves known, yes, but ultimately the one who gets the glory is Yahweh. In this battle over the presidency and the other offices that were in the election, is it us in our own might that is going to win this battle? No. Is it us in our own, we are so intelligent and we have such strategies? Are they the ones that win? No, it is Yahweh. And you guys can jump in and maybe you have more you want to talk about, but that was sort of my focus for what I was going to say today, since I didn't know. So anyway, sort of keeping the theme going.
Fantastic. This is a loaded Torah portion. I mean, you can camp out on this for a long, long, long time. And to keep the red scarlet thread going, remember when Yeshua appeared to Abraham and he had 2 men with him? I've already had this discussion with my dear precious Jewish friend, because he still maintains that they were angels, and I'm telling him these are the 2 witnesses. And that you go to chapter 32, and it says, this is going back to last week, it ties, these 2 chapters were divided kind of weird, where it says that Jacob went on his way, and the Malkim Elohim met him. And Jacob said when he saw them, this is God's camp. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. So here we have, and I submit for your consideration, you don't have to agree with me, these are the same 2 that accompanied Yeshua when he ate dinner with our beloved father Abraham under the oaks of Mamre. Now, it's kind of funny, I'd say funny, it's kind of odd, that when he sends the messengers, these are the messengers that Jacob is sending. So he's sending these 2 men to his brother Esau, and he dictates a message to him. And this is my personal opinion, and for what it's worth, that they didn't like what Jacob said. Because Jacob tells them, he says, thus shall you say to my lord Esau, Thus saith thy servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed until now, and I have oxen, asses, flocks, men servants, maid servants, and I've sent to tell my Lord that I may find favor in your sight. And the messengers, now the Torah is real quick. They go and come back and says the messengers, and this is the Malkim, okay? The messengers returned and to Jacob saying, we came to thy brother Esau, and moreover, he comes to meet you with 400 men. Now, isn't that kind of blunt? Boom. They just, to me, it shows their dissatisfaction with the message that Jacob dictated for them to relate to Esau. But it's my understanding and belief these are the same two that were with our father Abraham and Yeshua under the oaks of Mamre. And I think when they drop the bombshell, he's coming with 400 men. I think it's a test of faith. It's going to test Jacob's faith, okay? But and we read in the narrative, he says, then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. Now, that's kind of odd. Jacob was human, and he was the last of the patriarchs to walk in a covenant relationship with Yod-Heh-Vav. And he displayed all of the weaknesses that every one of us do in our daily lives. Amen. Being greatly afraid and distressed. Wait a minute, sir. You have seen God do some incredible things. Because you're going to read on over here this incredible statement in verse 11. For I, which is a beautiful song called Katanti. Have you heard it? I sent it out on Shabbat. It's by a beautiful brother. He walks into the room. It's a room in an old Jerusalem house, and he sits down and puts this song to music, and it's so fantastic. He says, for I am not worthy of the least of these mercies and truths which you have shown unto thy servant. Then he says, for with my staff have I passed over this Jordan, and am now become two companies, two camps. And I like to tie that in real quick with Moses standing at Yom Suf, and and people are wanting to kill Moses, and they're wanting to stone. Hey, let's go. What are we going to do? And you hear the boss say, why are you crying unto me? And I go, my Abba Father, if ever there was a time for Moses to be crying out to you, it would have been then. But he's rebuking him. But what does the next words he says to Moses? Take the rod that's in your hand. Because what I have come to understand about that is that Yeshua is telling Moses, don't you remember what your father Yaakov did with that exact same rod when he crossed the Jordan? Baruch Shem, it is the exact same rod. Because then it made sense to me why he says, why are you crying? Don't you know what to do, Moses? Raise the rod up and command the waters to split. And it goes right back to this incredible verse that has made into that beautiful song, Katanti, for I am not worthy. It's so beautiful. And if you haven't heard it, it's on YouTube. And then he ends it. He says, deliver me, oh God. And that's he ends that song with that, deliver me. And I'll go nuts over it. I just want to weep and cry. And to address the word kissed, we all know that there are 6 jots on that are over the word when
Esau
kisses our father Jacob. There are 6 jots. And that was 2 a.m. This was about 2008, 2009, when I was in Sampson, Alabama. I had been out on my porch crying out to Abba about the 7 unknown stops, because I said, listen, I don't want to present a false teaching or give false hope to your people. And I says, please give me something that, show me that this is from you. Okay. Well, he brings me back into my prayer closet. He sets me down And this is one of the things he showed me that blew me away. I was looking at a map. If you look at a map of modern day Israel and you see the outline of the face, right? You see the border between Israel and the West Bank. It's a profile of a prince, okay? You can see it. And within the borders of those boundaries in this map, the Ruach, he had me count 6 cities, beginning with Hebron, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Jericho, Ramallah, and I always forget that last one up at the top. 6 of them. And the Ruach spoke these words to me and said, son, when these 6 cities are in total control of the Palestinians, and all 5 of them are now, the only one that is not in total control is Jerusalem. He says, when these 6 cities are under their control, the time of Jacob's trouble has begun. That's that specific time marker. And I got to say, that kind of blew me away because I had not seen these 6 cities. Did we lock up, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
Thank you. I had not seen that incredible understanding. So this Torah portion is loaded front to back. You could spend hours discussing this. And so I'll turn it back to you guys for your comments. This is so powerful. But I see the red scarlet thread in the messengers because they're Malachim, they're Malachim. And then I think when they return, there's a Hey in front. There's a Ha Malachim when they return. And the messengers, Shuvah, they return. It's Shuvah HaMalachim, Ha-Malachim. There's a Hey in front of the word Malachim. And to me, I think that's very special. I think it kind of sets them apart. Say, these guys are very special. Baruch Hashem. For your consideration and understanding, you can throw it away and do say, okay, Eddie's gone or nothing. But to me, it's just this red scarlet thread of these the witnesses showing up throughout the scriptures. Baruch Hashem.
I love it. Mark, we have been doing all the talking. Do you have anything you want to comment
Oh,
on?
no. I love threads. Without threads, the Bible's worthless, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a solid thread, and there's extreme billions of tentacles coming off of the thread. You know, I mean, to me, that is what makes the Bible the integrity book that it is and believable. Without those threads, without those tentacles, without everything, without one thing leading to another, and tying the last words to the beginning words, then the Bible's worthless. And to me, people that read the Bible and don't get anything out of it are reading it wanting not to get anything out of it. Because if you open yourself up to wanting the Lord to show you, or just, you don't know the Lord, but you open the Bible. I mean, there are countless numbers of stories of people that have just opened the Bible, read it, and end up being extreme major preachers of the world. I mean, look at Charles Spurgeon and all of that is a very similar story. Anyway, Sandy, and what you're talking about, and that people don't stand up and do what they need to do, especially, like in the wars and what's going on today. It's interesting to me. I have often thought that the New Testament being divided in the Bible as a New Testament, and even being published in public, being published, period, the New Testament books being published by themselves is a cop-out. And it allows, it allows Christianity to be a cop-out, in that it makes it so easy to say that the Old Testament is done away with, and the New Testament is really all that it's about, because the Old Testament God, being the God of war, being the God of if you don't do this, then well, fine, I'll just wipe you all out. I mean, how many times we hear the Lord say, fine, I'll just wipe you all out. I've done it once, I can do it again. It's like Bill Cosby. I brought you into this world, I can take you out, type of thing. So what better thing to do than to write an entire section that is nothing but grace, separate yourself from the God of I'll just wipe you all out. That way we don't have to deal with that, because that God no longer exists. Now we can live in a time of grace, and we don't have to worry about all of that stuff before, because those are good Sunday school stories, is really what it is, because those are a thing that happened to those people, and we don't have to worry about that. It's seriously, to me, it kind of boils down even to a heart matter. It's kind of the same thing of what I was saying with the thread, without really understanding that there is several threads that go all the way from the very beginning to the very ending. And I'm not talking about the beginning of Torah to the end of Torah, the beginning of the prophets and the writings to the end of the prophets and the writings, the beginning of the Brit Hadashah to the end of the Brit Hadashah. I'm not talking about that. Those are not individual threads. If it doesn't start from Genesis 1:1 and go to the end of Revelation, then once again, they're worthless. It all ties together. It has to tie together. And let me just bring in the Brit Hadashah, being Matthew 2:13 to Matthew 2:23. I'll just give an overview here. We're talking, let me read a couple of parts of it. Now, when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, rise, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child and destroy him. You jump down to verse, 16? 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, became furious and sent and killed all the male children in Bethlehem and in all that region who were 2 years old and older. And jumping down then to 19, but when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream again to Joseph in Egypt, saying, rise, take the child. We're talking about a major thread here that has happened since the very beginning. If this doesn't tie into Torah and doesn't tie into the prophets and the writings and all that entails, then it's worthless. This story doesn't mean anything to anybody. And to me, I have to continually remember that continually in my Christian walk, reading things like this, there were always these incredible red flags that kept popping up. And it's like, I don't understand this. I'd read this section I just read, and I really don't understand this. I don't get it. Why does this have to do with anything, But then when I opened up to Torah and went back and read Torah, the prophets, and the writings, and I had already read them back when I was a Christian. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's just, I read them as a Christian. I didn't read them as these books are valuable, and without them, there's no way you can understand the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament. And so, you go in here and you look at the two different people we're talking, the difference between Joseph and Herod. Look at the understanding here. Joseph is literally tied. You want to talk about threads, and you want to talk about, standing up Sandy talking about standing up for what you believe, and Eddie talking about the threads, through the Bible. Look at Joseph. Joseph is a literal physical thread, and not even spiritual. I mean, they even took a book and looked at his genealogy here. The man has a heart tie to the Lord and to the Old Testament, to the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. It's all right there. Everything in his genealogy ties to all of this. And look at what he does. He gets a dream. He doesn't just blow that dream off. Oh, that was a weird dream. What am I going to do with this dream? He didn't do that. He rose up. He took his child and the mother and fled to Egypt. And then look at Herod. Herod not having, you could probably trace his genealogy back. We all know he traces into, all of this too. But what was his heart matter in that? He didn't care about all that. He didn't care about his genealogy. He didn't care about where he came from and who he was. In a second's notice, he's ready to kill all the male children in the entire region, 2 years and under. So you get the difference between rising up for what you believe in, like you get a dream from the Lord, it's from the Lord, and you rise up and you do what you're supposed to do, indifferent than Herod. That is just, it's like, it's all about me. I could care less about what the Lord wants or how all that ties together. And he didn't rise up for himself. He rose up for what he needed. And so what Herod needed, not what was needed in the spiritual and physical realm. Whereas Joseph, rose up and did what he needed to do for the Lord and for the spiritual aspect of us today. Without his ability to act on what he believed in, where would we be today? Herod might have gone in there and killed the Lord, less than 2 years young. We know that ain't going to happen, but hey, at least the Lord found somebody he could trust. So anyway, that's my addition to this, bringing the Brit Hadashah into it. You're muted, both of you. All of you.
Eddie and Tammy, did you have some commentary on what Mark said?
You're muted, guys. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, I just love it, man. He was smoking.
It reminds me of what Monty Judah likes to say.
Oh.
He summarizes the whole scripture in 3 little phrases.
You know this, Mark.
What?
They tried to kill us.
Oh, yeah.
They tried to kill us.
God's
this.
and
So let's eat.
Yumbo Gumby.
Well,
that was beautiful, Mark.
I liked what you said too when you were talking about the threads of our position in the kingdom. Really, from the very beginning, we see it in Jacob and we see it in Joseph. We see it all throughout Scripture. But here is the problem, because you were also talking about the division of the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, for those that may not understand that word, as what from the Old Testament, the Tanakh. Because they shut it off, they believe that the God of the Old Testament is mean and full of war and all of that. And they cut that off. So they don't understand that Yeshua, when Yeshua got angry, he didn't go, oh, well, I'm angry. He didn't do that. He was angry, righteously so. And this idea that Yeshua was this peace-loving, sweet-spoken, soft-spoken guy is what they believe, because they've cut off. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. When Yeshua was confronting the Pharisees, the Sadducees, or others, he was in their face. And sometimes I like even like with the very first miracle, even turning the water into wine when it was the purification, it's what they used to wash. I imagine he was over there going, I can't believe you guys, he was a confrontational man on the earth when he was 100% man, 100% God. And
Amen.
because they have this different Jesus, not our Messiah, as the one they hope for, they have divorced, which is a word we used in the Torah portion. They have divorced themselves from the truth, so they can't possibly understand it. So when China virus comes around, they shake in their boots because they don't understand that the victory's already been won, that the God, that our Yahweh, who outnumbers any number of the enemy. They have separated themselves so much from the truth that when Esau begins attacking, we acquiesce to that and say, okay, Esau, have whatever you want. Let's go ahead and let the Muslims rule, et cetera, et cetera. Let's do this. We still bow down to Esau because they have removed the history of themselves. They have divorced it from themselves, so they don't even know what they're doing, and they're repeating the same mistakes over again. Wow. That's why we who have the truth have to continue the thread loudly and boldly, because what's at risk? Everything. Now, we know Yahweh won the war. We simply enforce the victory, but we still armor up and realize we are at war fighting an enemy.
Yes.
So,
quick question. With whom did Yaakov wrestle? Was it an angel?
No.
Was it Yeshua? Was it the devil? The 64, I get a lot of, I'm of the opinion it was Yeshua.
I always thought it was Yeshua.
But I have many different opinions from dear brethren as to one expressed that I never heard this expressed like this, that he wrestled with the angel of Esau. That it was everyone, that this is Jewish mindset, because and they have a right to their belief, and I love them, God bless them, but we're all born with angels, and that what Jacob wrestled with was the angel of Esau. But I told him, I says, I compared this analogy to share what, as I asked him, what did the angel say that was there when Samson's mom and dad, Samson's mother was being told she was going to have a son, and they did a sacrifice. And it said they asked him his name, and he says, why do you ask me my name? And it said, then the angel performed wondrously and went up to heaven in a flame. And that's almost identical to the verbiage of with whom Jacob is wrestling with, because he says, why do you want to know my name? So I said, so these two have connection. And I said, to me, that firms up it was Yeshua.
But also when Jacob left the place, his walk had changed. When we have an encounter with the enemy or the enemy's people, does our walk change? Or does our walk and our gait and our transformation come when we encounter Yeshua?
Amen. That's a good point. Excellent point.
I know a brother that has an entire teaching to prove that he wrestled with Hasatan.
Mm-hmm. I think we might know who that brother is.
No, I mean, this is a very good Torah teacher. I mean, I know this brother real well. One of the people that I've taught with and know, but I mean, from the very beginning, he's believed that and put together an entire proof of that. But hey, so to each his own. Not going to keep me from spending my time with the Lord. So,
where's it written where it says that Jacob wrestled with God and with man and has prevailed? In this Torah portion, he's wrestled with God and with man. So,
but is that word God Adonai and Adonai meaning that it could be any one of a multitude of gods.
I need to find out that reference. I'm not. I know know what it says.
Yeah.
James wrestle. Is it New Testament, Mark?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. It's been too long since
I need to find that.
Yeah, you
Saying
should.
a couple
But
words for
anyway,
for God.
no, you're not allowed to ask massive questions the last 5 minutes of the broadcast.
I'm sorry. Will you forgive me?
Not this time.
No, not this time.
Uh-oh.
Well, everybody, it has been a wonderful show. We are now at our time. And thank you, Eddie and Tammy, for just blessing us. Mark, thank you for blessing us and making everything work. And I love it how Yahweh brings it all together and brings us together too.
Yes.
Because there's a reason. I don't ever believe there's coincidence or just circumstance or happenstance. We come together for a reason and a purpose on this show. And I thank the Father that he put us together as one. So everybody, we thank you for joining us. Please like and share the show. Go back and listen to it.
Blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.
No one can come to you except through his light. Yeshua is the way, the truth, and the light. No one can come to you except through his light. Torah, Torah, Torah. Torah, Torah, Torah. Torah, Torah.